It is card number 150 from the 1953 Bowman Color set. It is Carl Scheib of those Philadelphia Athletics, winding up with a beautiful blue sky background. I believe it's Scheib. I looked it up. Not Scheib. Just a coincidence, not planned. Although Carl Scheib did throw some pitches in Shibe Park, although it was probably Connie Mack at that point. Carl is a good, strong right-handed pitcher. He was in 30 games for the Athletics in 52, winning 11 and losing 7. So if it is card number 150, somehow it is session number 150. Can you guys believe it? 150 of these Card Room Live sessions. And I say sessions because it's not really a show. It's a hangout for fellow vintage collectors. Whether we have guests or not, we are always finding time to waste time looking at and talking about cardboard. And through it all, we do try to make it time well wasted. And I think we've done that for about 4 years now. So if you're here with us live, welcome to all of my fellow YouTubers, to the commenters, to the folks from all over social media land. If you're new, don't be afraid to say hello. This is the live stream where everybody knows your name. Well, maybe we don't know yours yet, but you got to introduce yourself. We'll learn your name soon enough. If you're here with us live, get busy in the chat. On the other hand, you might be listening to this later. You might be going to or coming home from work. Maybe you're sorting cards. Maybe you're looking at eBay. Maybe you're rolling out meatballs, walking the dog, sitting on the john, putting the kids to bed. Maybe you're battling raccoons in the backyard. Perhaps you're wondering if Eddie Wakus will show up with this round of Cards with Stories. Perhaps you're wondering what other kind of Mike foolery or general shenanigans we're going to get into tonight. Whatever you might be doing or thinking about, I hope you get something out of the next hour. If you want to get in touch or have ideas for future sessions, you can email me at bowman53channel@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram, Bowman53_Alex, on X1953 Bowman Color, and on Blue Sky Bowman53. And of course, all that information can be found in the description below. This session of Card Room Live is brought to you by Blony Gum. That's right, Blony Gum, the biggest piece of bubble gum in the world. For just a penny. They may not make pennies anymore, but you can get a piece of bubble gum made by Blony Gum. Blony blows bigger bubbles. Blony Gum, the sweet that lasts longer. And hey, you might just get a baseball card or two with your purchase. So good evening to everybody. Happy November. Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and all the holiday hoopla is coming our way. Let's see who's sitting at the bar. Mike, the sports history collector, has announced that the Eddie Wakus Memorial Bar is now open. Ruben Snyder is here. Jay Hawker Vintage Cards, Mike is here. Stephen with a PH is here. Killebrew 3, Kurt is here. Melissa is here. And Eddie's Cardboard Chaos. Mr. Wilhelm 88 is here. Low grade, no grade vintage is here. Presumably the newborn is asleep for the time being. Pastor Craig's Vintage Cards is here. Peacemaker Cards is here. B-Roth, who was, I think, on session number 1. If he wasn't, he was definitely on session number 2. And here he is for session number 150. Larry is here. Mike Good is here. Spartan Card Collector is here. Reese Endy Card Ranger is here. Signs of the Past Time, Hugo is here. The Wrench Holder Ranger Studios is here. And that's good because we've got a card for you tonight, Scott. Phil Necro fan, Mitchell White Sox fan card collector, Pre-War Dreams, TJ Mack, Vintage Cards and Nostalgia is here. Warren D in the CLE, Stooks Baseball Cards and Curiosities with the Wrench is here. Sven is here. Mookie Chilson is here. Carl Sheeb never faced Eddie Wakus. Carl was, however, known as one of the best hitting pitchers of his time. In 1951, he went 21 for 53. That's a 396 average. I challenged Mookie to come up with little bits of trivia last time, and he's living up to that challenge. Tony, Psyched on Baseball Cards, is here. Peter B is here. Blue Collar Cards is here, and so is Ross Loves Cards. Okay, great. We've got a great group of folks in here, and I got through all of that in 6 minutes. That's pretty good. So we've got a great group of folks waiting to come in. We're going to do a round of cards with stories. But before we do that, I want to get our guests in here, and we're going to do some brief introductions. Some of these folks don't necessarily really need introductions, and some of them perhaps do. And that's what's kind of fun about Card Room Live is everybody and anybody is welcome. There's all sorts of wonderful collectors out there, new collectors, old collectors. And again, if you're interested in nominating either yourself or another collector that you know of, send me an email, bowman53channel@gmail.com. Would love to see those collectors and their collections jump on a future Card Room Live session. So having said that, this guy doesn't need an introduction, so let's get him in here. What's up, Orlando?
Hey, Alex. Hey, guys.
Good to see you.
Good to be on. Yeah, thank you for having me on.
For sure. Our next guest briefly was on a Card Room Live session, has a great channel name that always makes me laugh. It's Andy from The Dog Ate My Card Collector. Andy, how are you?
Good, Alex. Good to see everybody.
All right, fantastic. Thanks for being here. And our third guest tonight is somebody that reached out to me on Instagram and said, hey, it would be fun to jump in a live session. And I think we talked maybe a few weeks ago or so, and finally we're able to find a good time that matched up for everybody. It's Lynn. And Lynn has an Instagram channel. It's called Lynn Collects Cards. Is that right? You're on Instagram?
I'm sure, right? Alex. I can't really hear you.
Oh, really? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Lynn, tell you what, I think maybe you should come back out. Well, let me try removing you, and then we'll try to get you back in. Okay, let me see. While we're trying to get Lynn figured out, Andy, why don't you give us a sense of how you got into collecting and, how far back that goes and, how you got up to speed with your collection today.
Okay, thanks, Alex. So I opened my first pack of cards in 1975 and collected cards, as a kid for a number of years. I stopped collecting like a lot of folks do in the mid 80s, around 87. And then 2000, I started collecting again. I was one of those people who was lucky, who I think one of my discussions tonight will be talking about that, who had a cousin who gave him a big pile of cards who was a little bit older than me. So that was an inspiration. And I also had a stepdad who, was an avid sports fan and somewhat of a card collector as well. So I've had some folks in my life influence me as well. And predominantly a set collector. I like to open packs and put sets together.
Yeah, I can see you have an incredible number of packs behind you. But that's for like rainy days, right?
That is, card collecting is my little place to go to relax, and opening and sorting cards is down here. This is my basement of my house, so it's my little card dungeon. I could lock the doors and nobody can come bother me while I'm doing this.
Nice, so nice. Lynn, is the sound okay?
Yes, there was a little malfunction, but might be just because I'm in Canada. I don't know.
Okay, well, let's start with that. So you're in Canada. Give us a sense of your collecting history. How did you get into it, and what kind of stuff do you collect?
I started when I was around 5 years old from my father and his brothers, so my uncles. They're from a small little place in Cape Breton Island where they they grew up in the 50s and collected cards with the 60, 67 tops with the television screens there,
Sure.
the hockey, and I just fell in love with that. I still am in Canada, Nova Scotia, the province on the East Coast. And my father collected before I was born and then kind of stopped as he got older. And then I picked it up recently as an avid collector, I would say a year ago.
Okay.
Yes, and I collect mostly baseball, vintage baseball, a little bit of hockey depending on what it is, and then I've been dabbling in the Pokemon a little bit just because it's fun,
Sure.
but I like the sports. Tells a
Okay.
story.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's a good lead into what we're going to do tonight, which is cards with stories. But you know what, Orlando, because everybody just assumes we all know this. Orlando, how did you get started with collecting? Take us all the way
Okay.
back.
All right. And my first card is actually one that's going to reflect that. So
Okay.
first I'll start, again, like everybody, when I was in school, in elementary schools, when I first started collecting, and that was in the late '60s. And I'm a little older than you guys. I just turned 69 last month. So I would collect cards. I have two sisters, and would walk them to school. We lived about 3 blocks away from the elementary school. And in the corner of the school, there was a drugstore called Budget Drugs. So, my mom would give me some money for my sisters are, one of them is 11 months younger than me, and the other one's 3 years younger. So we went to pretty much the same school, and I'd have to wait for them to get out of school and stuff. So I'd tell them, I'll meet you in the corner at the drugstore. So I'd always go, and whatever extra lunch money that we had, because I got the money and I would give them their lunch money. And I always had either 10, 25 cents left over from what my mom gave us. And I'd go buy a pack of cards at
Sure.
Budget Drugs and wait for my sisters at the corner as I opened the pack. And that's kind of how I started. I would give them the gum because they always wanted the gum. They're like, well, mom gave you that money, so you got to give us something. So I always would buy a couple of packs, and then on walking home, I'd open the packs and just look at them. And that's pretty much how I started. I had across the street from my house were four brothers that pretty much my age, a little younger, and one of them was exactly my age. The others were pretty much between 3 or 4 years around my age. So we would always play in the street baseball, and they collected cards. So I collected cards, and I was able to do trading with them. And since I just had two sisters, I hung out at their house for the most part. And those four boys got me really into the collecting. And I actually, when I went to college, so I collected throughout my high school days and all of that. And really, as a set builder, I always tried to put sets together back in those days. And whatever cards I didn't have, I used to trade with those four friends, the brothers. And I stopped around when I went to college. And I went
Sure.
to college, and I got married right after college. I actually met my wife, not at the college, but while I was going to college.
Mhm.
And we got married right away, and I had kids, and moved away, got a job in Tampa. I'm from South Florida. So I moved away to a job in Tampa. So for about 5, 6 years there, I stopped collecting. And then I got a call from my mom, and she says, Orlando, we found your cards. And I had put my cards, there were shoe boxes, like back in those days, that's how you put the cards back then. And I had about 5 shoe boxes full of cards. And I had put them, when I moved, I put them in a hall closet on the top shelf of the closet. And my mom called and says, your dad was going to throw them away, but I thought that you may want them. And I had forgotten all about them. I said, Mom, hold on, I'll come and get them. So that weekend, it's a 4-hour drive. I drove all the way to Miami, picked up my cards, and got started again. And when I got my cards, I realized that I remembered that the first cards that I had a bunch of 68s and 69s. And then from 1970 on, I had almost the entire sets. So here's my 1970 set.
Oh boy.
put together
Wow.
back when I was a kid.
Mm.
And the card that I want to share from that set was the checklist that I actually checked off when I was a kid. And you
Great.
can see I almost completed. There was a card missing there. The whole back was all done. I was a pretty neat. I didn't realize how neat I was, but I really checked it all off. And as soon as I got those cards, I realized that I had the 70 set almost complete, the 71, the 72, the 73, the 74, and the 75. So all those sets were in there, and they were almost all complete. So I ended up, completing the sets, and I played Little League during that time. And those four brothers, the dad was the Little League coach. So I ended up playing Little League and really got into baseball back in the day, and that's how I started my collecting journey. And this is one of my friends. He ended up being drafted by the Yankees back in the day, and this is his minor league card. He never got to be a you know a full Yankee. He stayed in the minors. Jose Vasquez, and I still know him. And he was the youngest of the four, and that was the kid that got me started. The kids that got me started, and that was the set that got me started. So that's my set, and I still have the checklist, and I still have all the cards that I had from when I was a kid from the 70s. And from then on, I went to I started building sets. I really got into it. I built sets from the 60s all the way back to the 50s, and I built the 53 Bowman set also. And
Good one to build.
and then when my kids became a little bit older, not older, but when they were like 6, 7 years old, I became a dealer. So during the 80s, I was a car dealer, just doing local shows at the mall. And that's where I really jacked up my collection and started really getting into it and started building my sets and finishing off the sets that I started when I was a kid.
Right. And here we are today.
That's my story, and I'm sticking
Um,
to it.
incredible, incredible. All right, let's go to Lynn. Lynn, what's your first card that you'd like to share with us?
The first card I would like to share is a set that I'm actually kind of trying to build over time. It's
Oh, yeah.
1952 Bowman. It's Bobby Thompson. It's card number 2. Sorry for the glare on there. But my local card shop, it's 20 minutes away from my house, 15, 20 minutes. They had a bunch of these 52 Bowman cards in their shop, and they kind of have it in one of the offices back where one of the guys has, because it's kind of hard to come by, and it's small market around here.
Sure.
So you just ask, hey Steve, can I have the vintage baseball box? And he goes, yeah, for sure. And then you just kind of flip through. There was a bunch of these 52 Bowmans, and they were in amazing shape too. I think there was only one or two that were kind of creased in the middle, and then the rest I bought. I think I even bought the creased ones, to be honest, because I wanted to fill the set. So yeah, no, this card is awesome. It's he's on the Giants, and he played. He was known for the shot around, heard around the world with that home run in '51. So this set is also one of the most most players after the post-war kind of thing. Like they have a
Sure.
lot of players in this card set as well. But I was attracted to this set because of I like the small cards. I don't know why. I do. And the color, and I know the 51, they have the just the printed name, but I always like the cursive. I'm
Right.
younger too, so I'm only 25, so I never really learned too much cursive, so I try to figure out who the player is if I don't know what they who the heart card is off by heart, and try and figure out in cursive, because I never really learned much cursive in
Sure.
school growing up.
Which is
But
really hard for all of us because all of us are older, and the idea
yeah,
that cursive
exactly.
isn't
Well,
taught is
yeah,
like, wait, how is that possible? But yeah,
I know. And they started taking it out when I was kind of in elementary school. They started taking cursive out. So I always tried to practice my cursive reading all these 52 Bowman cards. I think it's amazing
that's
that,
interesting.
yeah. And I mean, I'm not really great at it, but my parents write in cursive because they're from the old school. So that
Sure.
kind of just got me started into liking these ones more. The portraits are amazing. They basically um, show the player, and it kind of looks like a painting in a way. It's not like an actual photograph that they took. Kind
Right.
of like when you see the 57 tops.
Yeah.
That looks a little more realistic. And same thing with the 53 tops that Orlando mentioned before. Amazing set. The portraits
Hmm.
are one of a kind. And I think that it's something that is underappreciated
Yeah,
a lot
definitely.
in the front part of the card.
It's funny you mentioned like appreciating the signature and how you have to sort of, because some of the signatures you can kind of tell what the person's name, but perhaps the handwriting is harder to understand. And so like trying to
Yes.
figure out who the player is before flipping over the card. And
Yes.
that's even more true with my favorite set, the 53 Bowman color, because of course if it's slabbed, his name's up top, but if you don't look, it's just the guy, right? So that, and
Right.
there's no signature. So I've gotten to know the set so well that I know who the player is. But if you're just flipping through that set, it's like, who is that? You have to flip it over
Hmm.
to get the guy's name.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Andy, let's go to you.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's an awesome card, Lynn. I really love
Thank
that.
you.
That's
Yeah.
great. So I've got two cards. So I'm going to show them, and then I'll explain how they're related to each other. Here's a 55 tops Wayne Twilliger and a 55 tops Ted Williams. So
Nice.
these cards, yeah, this is a great set. Um, so in an early story, my stepfather inspired me to collect cards, and he said you should collect old cards, and I said, okay, which ones? So he said, why don't you read through this book? And I know a lot of folks are probably familiar with it. It's called the Great American Baseball Card Flipping, Training, and Bubblegum Book.
Mm.
It was published in 1973, and the authors wrote it because they went to their library and there were no books about baseball cards. So this was what he gave me, this exact book. And in the book, there's a section called Profiles. There's a bunch of great stories about collecting cards in the 50s and 60s, and it's a very funny book, easy to read even for a younger person. But inside the section called Profiles, what the authors did is they took baseball cards, and there's my two, and they wrote little stories about their memories of those players. And it is chock full of stars, non-stars. You can see I can kind of show a couple of pages in there, but it talks about players, and even sometimes it's a card like that error card from '69 where it's actually not the player. It was a gag, but
It was the Bat Boy.
it was the Bat Boy, yeah. So what I would do is I would use this as my guide. You can see the John Roseboro card there. I actually kind of crossed through and put a check. If I had the player on a card, I would cross it off, and if I had the actual exact card, I would check it as well. So I had a little system for marking it as well. But yeah, so that's what he gave me as a inspiration and a guidebook on how to collect. And I mean, there are some pretty average cards in there, but they're great. I mean, when you're at a flea market and you're looking for things to collect, and you don't really know the players that well, this is a great introduction. So if you haven't ever seen the book, and you can see there's some really fancy cards in there. You got the Satchel Paige cards in there, right? I mean, there's some real good cards in there. And I know a lot of folks have probably seen the book, but if you haven't, I'm sure you can probably find a copy on eBay. It's probably only a few dollars. But before there were all the fancy, top 300 card books and all these other things, there was the Great American Baseball Card Flipping, Trading, and Bubblegum book printed in 1973. So that's my little story. I really appreciate my stepdad giving me this book. And it inspired me to get these cards among many others. So there's a little historical story from my past.
Wonderful. All right, Orlando, back to you.
All right. I'm going to just tell a quick story of when, I got back into the hobby, and like I said, I'd moved to Tampa. And when my daughter started going to school, that's the school would have it in the gym. They had a card show, and it was really not in Tampa. It was a place called Riverview, which is close to Tampa. So they would have the card show every 3 months or so, and I would always go and attend the card show. And one of the times that I went to attend the card show, I'm waiting. I always try to get there first and get the first deals or whatever. So I got there and I'm standing in line waiting for them to open. And right behind me, there's a guy that has a box of cards and a shoebox of cards. So I start talking to him and stuff, and he starts telling me, "Oh, my dad had all these cards, and this was back in the early '80s." Says my dad had all these cards, and he passed away, and he gave them to me, and I'm thinking of selling them, so I brought them to the show to sell the cards. So I said, "Well, can I see those cards?" So he opens the box, and it was a box full. Time they call them 48 leaf cards. Now we know that they're from 49, 48,
Sure.
49 leaf cards. A full box, all just thrown in there, raw cards. They must have had over 200 cards in that box. And I told the guy, these are valuable cards because I knew about them. He didn't know a thing about them. So I started telling him a little bit about it and stuff. And, back in those days, I didn't take a lot of money to the shows. I mean, I would take maybe $100 or maybe $200 at the most. So I told him, I said, I don't have the money to buy these because they're pretty valuable, but if you don't sell them, let me know, and I'll buy whatever I can off of you and stuff. And along with that, he also had little posters, which I was aware of them, but I didn't really know exactly what they were. They were the 1949 Leaf Premiums.
Oh
And he
man.
had 12 of those little posters along with the cards. So these are the posters. And this is the Babe Ruth that I got from him back in the 80s. And as you guys know that have been following me, I put together this set. There's 8 different posters, which, they came in the actual box. The 49 Leaf Premiums. And they came in the boxes of the 49 leaf cards, the bottom of the box and the packs. And then if you were the last one from the store to buy that last pack, the store owner would give you the poster at the bottom of the box. So apparently his dad had bought a lot of the packs and had 12 of these posters and a box full of 49 leaf cards. So he goes into the card show, and we both go into the card show. And again, he's got the posters and he's got the box full. I'm telling you, there were over 200 of those cards, all of them. The Jackies, the DiMaggio, the Ruth, all of them were in there. And they were all, no penny sleeves or nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going in, and I see him. I told him already, that they were valuable and, not to, give them away too cheap. And I kind of told him more or less what they were, valued at, that I thought they were valued at that time. So as I go in and I'm looking at the tables, I see him. And then all of a sudden, when I turn around in the corner, it was like a U shape. It was kind of like a horseshoe where all of the guys were along the wall, all the dealers. So the first turn, I see about 5 or 6 dealers gathered around him and that box of cards. They're all gathered around. They're looking, they're going, and I kind of let him go and see what happened there. He ended up selling every single one of those cards there, and he got a few $1,000s out of that, which today probably would have been more like $100,000. But he was thrilled that he got all the money out of there and stuff. And then as soon as he finished with all that, he still had his little box. He walked around the corner there, and I met up with him again. I said, "Hey, I saw that you were selling all the cards." "Yeah, I sold every single one of them, but nobody knew what those little posters were. So nobody made me an offer on them. Nobody bought them or anything like that." So I said, "You know what? I'll buy them all off of you." So an offer of $300, which at that time was a lot of money at the time for me. And I didn't have that kind of money. So, and he was like, "Oh yeah, sure, yeah, that's a lot of money." Nobody even wanted to give me any money for those things. And as you know, just the Babe Ruth alone now is worth probably like $4,000 or $5,000 in just a low grade. You know, so I we made the deal. We shook hands. I gave him like $50 or something that I had with me, and I said, let's meet up tomorrow." So we met up at, I think it was an IHOP or a Denny's or something like that. The next morning we met up because there was no ATMs there. There's nothing you couldn't do. There's nothing. You had to go physically to the bank, get the money out, and this was Monday. So Monday, it was Sunday. So Monday morning, I went to the bank early in the morning to go get the cash out and gave the guy the cash. And he gave me those 12 little posters, which was almost a complete set with some duplicates, including 3 of the Lou Gehrig cards. And I ended up building the set and upgraded the set as I went along over the years, and really just kind of became real. I studied the set, and I've sold off all of my doubles. Eventually, I ended up with 2 sets because I upgraded my set as much as I could. But this is one of the original ones that I still have from that guy that I got. And some of the other ones are some YouTubers. Sammy Thunder has the Christy Mathewson that I got from that guy. I ended up trading with him on that. So that's the story of my 49 leaf premiums and how I got them. And later on, in 1992, I think there was the national in Atlanta, the year that they had the Olympics. And I took some of those ones that I had. I took my Lou Gehrig and I sold the Lou Gehrig for $300 back in those days. And I ended up, buying some cards to finish some of my sets from the 50s back then. So that's the story on the 1949 Leaf Premiums, what got me into it, and how I ended up, starting that set and eventually completing the set.
Amazing. It's the kind of stuff that makes me wish that I had gotten into the hobby much earlier.
I wish I would have bought the whole box of
Yeah.
49 Leaf cards from the guy. I didn't buy. I ended up not even getting one of the cards from him,
Right.
but I got the posters.
Right. Okay, Lynn, you're next.
I love the story. It makes me wish I was born then, but it's okay, no worries. I have a little story too. It's not a card. It's like this is a picture of Whitey Ford at the Yankees spring training camp. I'm not exactly sure the year, but I go to this card shop. It's not the one that I mentioned before, and that's in Bedford. It's closer to me in Dartmouth. It's just a little hole in the wall, and the guy that I know that owns it, this older gentleman, he has connections with my parents from Cape Breton, in my province. I go there all the time. He mostly prioritizes vintage. So that's how I got into the vintage baseball and the vintage hockey, because he is the expert in all of that stuff. If there's something that comes into the shop and he doesn't know what it is, then that means it's rare, because he knows every short print, every year when they made tops, OPG, Leaf, you name it, Bowman, all that stuff. So one day I was at the shop, and he was like, "Hey, I'm getting a collection, but he doesn't have a car." So I said, "Oh, hey, I'll take you to get the collection and check it out and whatever else you need to do." So we went up. The guy that was selling it had it over for however many years, sold it. Al came with me and his other buddy, and we drove him, and we went through his whole man cave in the basement and took everything. We made 2 trips in my Ford Escape with the seats down in the back, and we drove Al back, and we just kept we took 2 full Ford Escape vehicle loads back. And that's a lot, considering it was from bottom to top filled with everything. And there was a little album that had the little photo album that had these random photos of baseball players from the 30s, photos from the 50s and 60s, and this Whitey Ford ended up being one of the ones that I picked out, and it says on the back, Whitey Ford, it's probably backwards, that I ended up getting from Al. He has the best prices. I think it was around $10. I said, $10, it's yours. I said, deal. I got that one, and I have another one of Jim Pearsall.
Okay.
And I picked the Whitey Ford because this is about, the spring training was a little different. It was a little informal, you know, the professional guys would carry their bags and just kind of like their own bags and just take off to the field. And, you know, there would be no barricade security, whatever. So I just wanted to share this photo of that. Not only does it have to be specifically a card from Tops or Leaf or anything, but it can be like a close-up photograph that whoever this person was that took the up-close photo, he was just signing. I think it's just an autograph. Yeah, just the regular autograph here.
Right.
Sorry for the glare. And he's in his little Yankees uniform, and he's just chatting it up with the fans.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's great because I mean, obviously it is taken by a fan, and you know, thinking back to that time, it's analog, real film. So you have to be like, you can't just snap the way we snap with iPhones today. Like, okay,
Right.
let's make sure we get a good picture. And you know, Lynn, I have to ask, do you have a Whitey Ford card yet?
I do actually. Now
Okay.
that you mention it, I do. It's right here. I will put a little marker there, but I do have a 53 Tops Whitey Ford.
There you go.
Love that card.
And it was originally the shop in Bedford that I go to, that is a PSA affiliate. They had this card, but knocked down the price. It's really hard. There's no point in me showing it on camera because I can barely see it in person. There's a small little wrinkle in the bottom left-hand corner, and they
Right.
dropped the price from like however much it was originally in the book to like 150 or 140 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only Whitey Ford card I had so
Okay.
far.
Because the way my mind works is I love to pair stuff together. So I'm just looking at like, there's your Whitey Ford baseball card with that snapshot of Whitey Ford. It's
Yes.
great, you know, just a
Yeah.
little piece of, and I agree with you. Like the professional stuff is awesome, but like a little piece that like somebody grabbed while they just happened to be there that day is
Oh, I
very
agree.
unique.
They probably had a huge camera that, or like a film camera that kind of printed out as it went, or maybe they had. I don't even know because I wasn't born then, so I don't know. But I know that there was other famous players in that book. There was a Sandy Koufax autograph
Nice.
signed photo, and I know that's very rare to come by because Sandy Koufax never signs anything. And
Right.
it was, I didn't get it because someone else was hot to grab it, but
Right.
I wish I did. That would have been nice.
Awesome. All right, Andy, on to you.
So I'm going to show a couple of cards, but first, before I show what I was intending, I want to at least show off this card real quick that I picked up this week. I wanted to thank Orlando for the inspiration, this perfect example of a 1955 Bowman card. I wanted to thank him for the inspiration to pick this up, and it's one of my favorites.
My favorite Minoso.
We love you, Reindeer Studios.
So what I did want to show as well is a couple of cards. And here's a 1981 Joe Charbonneau rookie card autographed. And I had this autographed in person at a card show in New Jersey in 1981. And the reason why I want to show this card is because I really want to show this card, which I also had autographed at the show.
Oh, wow.
This is this was autographed by Mr. Feller in my presence. And I didn't actually have a card of his when I went to the show. I bought this at the show, and you can see it's I didn't care much about centering, but he signed the card, and he did tell me as he's signing the card, a very nice gentleman, said this is his favorite baseball card of him. So it's got the Bob Feller seal of approval, and it's an ink pen autograph. I don't know which way to turn it so you can read it, but it's a great card. I've had this thing since '81, and I just love it. And my opportunity to meet him and the Bob Feller's favorite baseball card that he signed for me. So That's my quick little story of a card show that I went to and some autographed cards that came from it.
That's really great, and that's a card that I need to get. Now that I know it's Bob's favorite card, that's even more incentive.
Yeah.
Really cool. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
it was cool. It was a great memory, and a great, real nice gentleman. He actually chatted with me for a few minutes. I couldn't believe, I mean, I never watched him pitch. He was a little before my time. My stepdad was a huge fan, but the more you read about Bob Feller, the more impressive he becomes, both as a player and as many other things as well. His service, his time in the Navy, and his ability to pitch. I mean, they don't even know how fast he threw, but there's rumors of 103, 104, and all kinds of other great stories about him. So. Great card, and really was a blessing to have him sign this thing. He lived to, I think, 91 years of age. He had a very long life.
What did you chat about, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, we talked about, we talked about the cards, and then he said how much he liked it. He talked a little bit about. He asked me if I ever saw him pitch, and I was like 12 or 13 at the time, or whatever, 14. And he was teasing with me a little bit. He says, do you even know anything about me? And because I knew a little bit about him, I said, yeah, you were a pitcher, and you were in the Navy for a while, and we talked about a little bit about his service doing in the Navy. So it was, it was a lot of years ago, but I do recall that he was teasing me a little bit about even knowing who he was as a player. So he had a sense of humor, which was nice.
Good.
Nice. All right, Orlando, back to you.
Yeah, Bob Feller was a great guy. I met him a few times. He would sign for $5 an autograph.
Did a lot of shows.
He wasn't even that big of a guy, but he had big hands.
Mm-hmm.
But he would talk to all the fans and stuff. And, if you give him a card to sign for $5, if you had 2 or 3 others, he'd just go ahead and sign them anyway. But my story is one that I just showed in one of my latest videos. And this Miguel Rojas autograph card. And this is when he was with the Marlins. And Miguel Rojas, as you know, was really the star, one of the stars for the Dodgers. That he hit the home run in the bottom of the 9th inning to tie the game, when it was looking like the Dodgers were going to lose that game against the Blue Jays. Sorry, Lynn. Toronto.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
It was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, but 9th inning, there was 1 out. They were down by a run. He's the 9th batter. He really hadn't played much, and they never expected him. He's not a home run hitter, and he hit that home run to tie the game, and then they went on to win. But the story behind this is that he when he first came to the Marlins, he was really not well known at all, and he's from Venezuela, and he spoke very little English at the time, and he moved, and he actually lived at the corner of my house, the house in the corner.
Oh, wow.
And I saw that all of a sudden in the back of the house, they were building a batting cage, and the batting cage with lights and the whole thing. And I would see him, I was a Marlins fan, so I knew it was him. And I would see him jogging around the block almost every day, early in the morning. And then when he would leave, either for the game or training, his wife would come with her. She was pregnant at the time with a little kid, and they would walk around. I would say hello to them and talk to them and stuff, because they were just my neighbors, and she was super nice, and I was the only guy in the neighborhood that spoke Spanish, so we were able to talk and all that. Then eventually she had her baby, and she would come with her stroller and her son. And Miguel's son would always come with a glove and a ball, tossing the ball up in the air, catching it and stuff. And I got to talk to him, got to know her, and I asked her, do you collect cards? Do you have baseball cards? And she says, no, we don't have any and all that. So when she would come by, I'd give her cards of Miguel Rojas. I'd give them to the son, and the little boy would say, Mommy, look, it's Poppy, and she would see the cards. And one day I went to check my mailbox, and in my mailbox, she had put this card autographed by Miguel in my mailbox as a thank you for giving the kid the cards, and just for for talking to her. And then eventually became a starter with the Marlins, and then was traded to the Dodgers, and the rest is history. But this is a card I'll never forget, because I got it directly from Miguel Rojas' wife.
That is such an incredible story, Orlando.
Yeah.
And I love that the kid is connected to it. And I'm sure that kid will have memories of that, years from now.
His cards of his dad are the ones I gave him.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, Lynn.
Yes, I have right here. It's my only Yogi Berra card,
All right.
but
Nice.
this is a oh man, the glare is bad. But here it is. I can show you a little closer. I wanted to emphasize more on this set that Orlando and I have spoken about earlier. I just think it's amazing. The portraits that they took. Yogi has such a calm demeanor in this uh, picture here, and I think that he's one of the best catchers that's ever to have lived with the Yankees, especially even hitting as well. Um, I think that I got this card actually a month or two ago. I was going to a card show, which is in New Brunswick, which is in the one province over, closer towards the west from me. And I was like, hey, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go to this card show. It was later in the evening. I decided to go. I was like, you know what? Whatever. I heard someone talk about in the grocery store the other day. I overheard a woman say to her friend, people in their 20s, they don't really do much nowadays. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like that's kind of just the gist of what I heard. And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like sometimes people just sit on their phones and just like scroll around or watch YouTube or whatever. But I was like, no, I'm gonna go drive. Horrible drive to the show for like 2.5 hours. It's raining the whole time. I had to, put my windshield wipers on full blast like the whole time. And then it was nice in New Brunswick. And then when I came back, there was a guy. When I went to the show, sorry, there was a guy. The only vintage table there that I really didn't know who he was, and he had great stuff. Like this is one of the few things I got from him. I got other little cards like like I don't even know what it's like the scoop ice cream cards, Bob Feller, and a bunch of
Sure.
other cool stuff. And yeah, that's just something that I think I should do more often is just go and do stuff in my 20s, even if it's last minute
Well,
stuff.
little did those people know that they inspired somebody to go buy some vintage baseball cards that
I
day.
know, yeah. And I've been at shows around locally, and they're like, of all people, you like vintage baseball? Yes, I do. I know I look like I might want to, collect a Pikachu or something, but that is true as well. But no, vintage baseball, the guy that honestly inspired me was Al, the guy from the little shop in Dartmouth from the Cape Breton connection. He's the one that got me into it. So I thank him.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
That's so cool.
Lynn, I have to ask,
Hmm.
because you're kind of, you've been showing some different cards of like vintage baseball cards. Have
Yeah.
you latched on to any players or teams, or is it more just sort of whatever catches your eye at this point?
I would say to be kind of stereotypical, I'm a big Mickey Mantle fan.
Sweet.
So I think I have two or three in the process of getting graded by PSA right now.
Okay.
And I have a couple back here actually,
Okay.
Mickey Mantles. But
Yeah.
once I get them, I don't sell them. Like I just once I get my hands on them, I can't see. I mean, I would love to help another person collect their cards maybe, and when I get older and I need the money at the time or something. But as of now, I'm in the process of just like having that special card for now, and then someone else can enjoy it when the time's up.
Right. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah. I think we always end up saying that all of us are just holding on to these cards for however long we've got, and then
Yes.
we pass them on to somebody else. All right, Andy, you're up.
So what I love about this hobby is that there are about as many different ways to collect as there are cards to collect. So I've got a project that I've started just recently, and I'm going to show off the cards through. It's going to take me just a minute to get through them all, but I think you'll figure out. And it starts with people telling me to always collect the card, not the grade. So here's my collection, and here's my, it's a 1970 rookie card in a 1, a 2, 2.5.
Oh my gosh.
See where this is going, right?
Yeah.
So I prefer to collect the card and the grade, right? I collect both the grade, so 3.5.
Oh my gosh. And the
That's so
hats too.
cool, Andy.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
I don't know if it's a good way to collect or if it's signs of my sure insanity. There's
It's
And
both.
all by
It's both.
SGC.
4.5.
Oh, wow.
And and I'm particular. I don't just buy any 5 that comes along. I wanted a certain look, because I was obviously still like the cards. There's a 5.5. Let's see how, almost getting through there. Yeah, the
Oh,
half.
that's crazy.
Will he keep going, folks? Will he keep going? Yes, he will.
Starting to get close to the commas, price. Here we are, 6.5.
Oh my gosh.
7. And I'm just about done here, folks. 7.5. And
Wow.
and here's the last one that I have. It's an 8. So I'm still looking for about 5 cards for this collection. Obviously, they get more expensive. I do need an A and a 1.5, which eBay did have a 1.5 for sale in SGC. But I didn't like, it was way off center. Didn't like the way the card looks. So I never bought it. So when I'm at the shows, I'm looking for that authentic and that 1.5, and then 8.5, 9, 9.5, and a 10. So yeah, I mean it's just why collect the card? We can collect the card and the grade, I guess.
Andy, everybody right now is scrambling through their collections and looking for the Thurman Munson to see if they have one that you're looking for.
That's right. Yeah. And Mookie always tells us, you can't make an altered card. I can't take one, modify it, and send it to SBC. It has to be an honest purchase. So he's keeping me honest. He's been a good influence on me that way. So I appreciate that. But yeah, so that's my, one of my most recent projects, and it's been fun and a little interesting to collect.
That's really fun, and I'm sure you've lined them up. And can you see the degradation?
You can see from the low numbers to the high numbers, you can definitely see the difference. Like for example, the one is it's got a little bit of surface damage on the front, but again, it's really hard to tell the difference. Like, man, I don't know how graders do it. I'm not a trained grader, but the one you can see there's a little bit of damage on the bottom there, so that's clearly a 1. But it's a pretty nice looking card considering it's not a beater for sure. But yeah, it's I like the cards, and obviously the grades were part of the criteria for the purchase. So it's we'll see how the project goes if we ever get to having the whole thing.
Right. All right, guys, we've got 7 minutes left, so we got time for like a quick sort of rapid fire round. Orlando, let's start with you.
All right. Just quickly, how I got into pre-war and cards from the 1800s. I love those cards. I've been collecting those for a while. I was at a car show at a mall when I was, in the mid 80s, and a guy came up to me to sell me some cards which I had never ever seen before, and I just bought it off him, put them in a box, and didn't look at them for like another 10 years. And when I was going through my stuff, I really started looking at them, and I had about 8 cards of these, the Goodwin Champions, 1888 Goodwin Champion card. This is one of the ones I bought from the guy. And as a set collector, I said, hey, I've got to put this set together. It's such a beautiful set. And there's 50 cards. I figured, I'll be able to put this set together pretty quickly. Well, it took me over 20 years to put it together because there was no eBay at the time. And I didn't realize how rare and how tough these cards were. And this is Joe Acton, a wrestler. So this is one of the first wrestling cards ever. Let me see if I can show you there. Yeah, wrestler. So as you know, I did complete the set, and I have all of them, including the baseball players, the wrestlers, the boxers, and the rest of the athletes in there. And they were all the champions from that era. But I just love the artwork on these cards, and really just didn't realize how beautiful they were until I really went back and looked at them years later and decided I'm going to go ahead and build a set. And I eventually did build a set, and it's one of the cards that I got originally back then. Again, it's in a really old slab that I graded back in the mid 90s. So that's my story on collecting pre-war from 1888.
Awesome.
Goodwin
Such a
champion.
beautiful set.
Yeah.
Okay, Lynn.
I have one last card I want to show. It's kind of like a panel English French Mickey Mantle card. I don't even know how many of these exist, to be honest. Show you the back. It's just a blank cardboard.
Mhm.
I got this from a guy in an hour and a half away from me, and he said, "Hey, I bought a collection. This is it. It's in French. I don't know how many of these are in existence, but you can have it for a good deal." I bought it for like, I don't even know how much. A lot at the time when I'm an unemployed student right now. So I'll just show you one more time.
Sure, yeah.
With trying not to get as much glare on it from my laptop or light, but yeah, it's in French and English, and I think it's from a cereal box or something like
Yeah,
that.
from
It's like
probably
from the
from Post
60s.
Serial.
Yeah. So I thought I'd share that as the last Mickey Mantle piece that is really special to me. I don't know if I'm going to get it graded or not.
Awesome.
I'm scared
All
to
right.
see the price.
Right. So Stuke is saying that that's from 1962.
Oh,
And
awesome.
he would
Okay.
know.
I like the information.
Okay,
Thanks,
Andy, take us home.
So the last thing I've got to share with you folks is something I picked up recently, and actually this came off of an auction house. That's actually ending tonight, the CAA auctions. I'm not affiliated with them, but I ended up buying all of these autographed Hall of Famers from their last auction. And I've never owned these cards before, nor do I have autographs of any of these players. And it's Duke Snyder, Brooks Robinson, Pee Wee Reese, Stan Musial, Eddie Matthews, Bob Gibson, and Al Kaline. So something I picked up recently, just bought it on a whim. I just kind of like the way they look. They're really cool. They've got little certificates of authenticity on the back, and just something I added to my collection. Not sure how I'm going to even display them, but they're really kind of pretty cool. I've never, I guess they're affiliated with Cooperstown somehow. It's a postcard or something, but recent pickup that I added to my collection. Wasn't expecting to, and it was kind of fun to win that one.
Fantastic.
A couple of cards I want to show Lynn real quick.
Sure,
yeah. Of course. Ooh.
Card, one of the prettiest ones out there. It's a Satchel Paige.
My goodness.
I love this card. And the second one, as a
like,
Mickey.
Yeah. What were you saying?
As a Mickey Mantle fan, this is the O-Pee-Chee Mickey Mantle from 1967. I don't know if you can see that it says O-Pee-Chee.
Yes, so, I do have an O-Pee-Chee as well.
Oh, awesome!
It's a one, but it's a card. It's a Mickey Mantle.
Sorry, Lynn. Go ahead and show your.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to show you quickly. It's so bad with this lighting, but yeah, that's my O-Pee-Chee Mickey Mantle.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
We got this great comment from Triple V. So refreshing to see a YouTube card show with passionate people showing cards. Orlando's the man, neat cards all. Well, Triple V, appreciate it. It's not a show. However, the thing that makes it work are the passionate people that we had here tonight. Orlando, Lynn, and Andy. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for sharing your cards and your stories with us.
I had a great time.
Yeah,
thank you. It was fun.
First time doing it.
Awesome. So guys, until next Sunday night, thanks for joining in. If you enjoyed this live stream, give it a thumbs up. Stay tuned for 4 collectors. And again, if you want to get in touch or have ideas for future sessions, you can always email me at bowen53channel@gmail.com. Until next Sunday night, guys, the bar is closed. Take care of yourselves out there in Hobbyland. Don't listen to the hot air. Just enjoy your collecting. Have a good night.
Hobby.
Yeah.
Here, folks.